Hi friends, Rusty back here with you live. Central Florida Weather Live, the show. Great to see you on a Friday. It is February the 7th. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to do one thing real quick. I'm going to take myself off camera and I'm just going to double check and make sure that the microphone setting is correct. So give me just 1 second to do that if you guys don't mind. It is. I appreciate that. Want to make sure that as we're chatting, you guys can hear me properly. Okay, let me get myself back on cam. Nice to see you guys on a Friday. How you guys doing? Everything good? We got ourselves a big weekend up ahead. The Super Bowl is coming up. I have put my prediction in the chat. You guys let me know what you think. For the record, I do not like both teams. I'm not a fan of the Chiefs or the Eagles. I'm a big Buccaneers fan, but I'm really glad that the Buccaneers have actually had some success against both teams in recent memory. Of course, we beat the Chiefs a few years ago in the Super Bowl in Tampa with Tom Brady. That was awesome. We've actually dominated the Eagles recently. We beat them handily earlier this year. We beat them last two times in the playoffs, and we beat them in the NFC Championship game way back in 2002 to go to our first ever Super Bowl. So at least we've had some success there. My youngest son is a huge Chiefs fan, and apparently there's nothing I can do about it. It's because my wife is actually from Missouri, and so he just started, hearing things about the Chiefs. I think it's because they've won the last two Super Bowls and they really got into football last year. And young kids like winners. So Mahomes, Kelsey, all those people. Anyway, we've got a gorgeous weekend coming up for us here, regardless of what your plans are between now and the Super Bowl. So let's get into it. The fog. My goodness, the fog has been a big story. Before we even get into that, of course, as always, I do want to thank the sponsor here of Central Florida Weather Live, our exclusive sponsor, and that's the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They are your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They represent homeowners, condo owners, and associations across the entire state. Anything that could impact you or your property, hail, hurricanes, burst pipes, car accidents, they're there to walk you through the insurance claim process. They do offer free consultation and policy reviews. If that situation arises in your life, go to leanonmelaw.com and get more information. Talk to Bobby and the team there. And again, we appreciate them being the exclusive sponsor of Central Florida Weather Live. Okay, so let's get into it, guys. And again, great to see you. If you're watching the live version, the reason why I'm doing this, I love to hear from you guys. Let's interact. Let me know in the comments section below what's been happening, how you have been dealing with the fog. If you're watching in the recorded version, you have a specific question about the forecast, you can drop it in the comments section below as well. So this is the visible satellite imagery over the last couple of hours. Once again, the fog, a big problem this morning in some areas, and you can clearly see by the Viz satellite imagery, we still have some low-level clouds to burn off. Now, it always stays very mild when we have the thick fog to deal with here, but the sun has to use its energy to actually burn that fog off to clear our skies before temperatures actually warm. So lunchtime temperatures here are kind of all over the place, and it really is dependent on, do you still have some low-level cloud coverage, especially up towards Jacksonville and St. Augustine and Flagler and Putnam counties and Alachua County, Marion County. Local Cal is finally up to 72, but it took some time. At 11 a.m., they were still in at 64. Contrast that with skies clearing a little bit quicker right now in the Orange County, Seminole County area towards Sanford. They're already up to 79. OIA is beginning to climb as well, up to 77. Same thing for the Executive Airport in downtown Orlando. Skies have cleared very nicely in Brevard County, especially in interior sections right now. Take a look at the temperature there in Port St. John, Indian River City area. They're already in at 81 degrees. It's going to be another very warm afternoon. Now, it's still going to be dependent on whether you have cloud coverage in the area early in this afternoon or not. We're going to eventually end up, but a lot of upper 70s and even some lower 80s. And as exceptionally warm as this week has been, and it will carry into the weekend, I've got even warmer conditions for us most of next week. We're still going to be dealing with fog through most of the early part of the week as well, and we'll talk about that coming up. Now, it may thin out a bit in some spots, but look, we're still going to have some issues. The first thing I want to mention here, by the way, is that I am a little bit concerned about some of the sea fog rolling in anywhere from the south side of Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Palm Coast, and the coastal areas of Volusia County as well. Notice temperatures there are a little bit cooler. We get just a little bit of an inland wind, and it's going to trap in that marine layer, and that sea fog is going to be an issue, and it's going to be slow to burn off. Now, it is for the immediate coast only, right? But it is going to be a problem in these spots, and this will continue to develop each and every morning. And that's going to be one of the areas that kind of situates itself with some lower cloud coverage. And that in turn will actually keep temperatures there a few degrees cooler. I could also expect to see some fog roll back into portions of the West Coast from the Nature Coast all the way back down to Tampa. It is going to be very area dependent right now. And the thickest fog at this point in time is actually up from the Nature Coast into the Big Bend area. If we look at the current, a couple of things I could do here. First of all, let me go over to this product here. This is the mesoscale analysis. So let me just take off everything else and then bring on this surface visibility analysis here. And again, we'll see if this is picking up on any bit of fog. It's hard to tell, right? I'll show you what this is. If we look at this here, you're going to see that visibility is lower here. But what I was really interested in is is it picking up any really low visibilities here? And the answer at this point in time is no from that mesoscale analysis. And the reason why I bring that up is if you look, we do have some fog advisories here off of the coastline. Those will repopulate themselves in just 1 second. And then we can query those. See if they'll do me a solid and pop back on here. Oh, looks like they expired. So that's why they went away. How about that? I was like, just before I came on, I was like, I know we had some dense fog advisories. So there you go. The mesoscale analysis showed that there wasn't really a lot of thick fog left. And then the National Weather Service office out of Tallahassee allowed those to expire. But you get the idea that we did have some relatively dense fog. So let's go back over to the visible satellite imagery here. And again, temperatures are going to be very area dependent. Now, the cloud coverage is going to be thick in the southeast overall, and that'll continue to be a story for us here. Since we're talking about what it currently looks like outside, what do you say we look at our cameras? This is the live look to the Walt Disney World area. And again, down in Orange County, especially the southwest sides of Orange County, things are beginning to clear out. So more sunshine is coming. That means temperatures are going to be warming. Notice that everything is very still in this photo. The winds are going to be very light. Obviously, that's what allows the fog to settle in the morning. And if we're going to get any breath of wind, there's going to generally be a southerly component in most spots, and that's going to allow temperatures to continue to warm. Again, we've been 8-10 degrees above average here the last several days. We're going to even climb maybe 10, and in some areas close to 15 degrees above average by the end of next week. I call it fall spring. It is. There's colder weather that will eventually come back in, but this is a long stretch of very beautiful weather for us here. Again, Conway Cam, this is out of the downtown Orlando area, very close there, Lake Conway. What a gorgeous shot. Again, skies have cleared out very nicely in this area, so more sunshine there. Again, generally speaking, the farther north that you go, you're going to be running back into a little bit lower level cloud coverage, and in accordance, your temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler as well. All right, so let's get back out here. Make this full screen again. So the highlights are going to be the thick fog in the mornings, warm conditions in the afternoon hours, and then just when our next chance for a cold front to bring any cooler weather is going to be. So let's bring up the current winds across the area right now. So these are going to be your 10-meter winds. Take a look at those. I'll expand this view out a little bit. And at least here, you can see that right now it's kind of a bit of a westerly breeze, but just more than anything, the winds are very light. They're somewhat variable. You know, Kissimmee has a southwest wind. The Villages has a southeast wind. Daytona has a northwest wind. I think that that is a very good indication that, again, we're going to continue to see winds that are extremely light and variable. All right. Elsewhere across the country, just to kind of give you guys a highlight of what might be coming down the pipe, there is a very strong winter storm developing right now in the Intermountain West and the Northern Plains. This is going to skirt in some heavy snowfall for the Northern Plains into the Great Lakes and New England. And in the Northeast in general, if you have any interest there, you're going to probably be hearing the potential for some extremely high snowfall totals coming in the next couple of weeks between now and about the 20th of February, where in some areas of the Northeast, potentially even New York City and Boston and Buffalo and places like that, they could be talking about 2 or 3 feet plus of snow. But the reason why I point that out is that these storms that are developing right now are taking much more of a west to east movement. Okay. Yes, there is some cooler air in the plains and to the Midwest, but nothing outrageous for early February. And all of these cold fronts are going to be taking more of a northerly trajectory. And even though we might have some weak fronts knocking on the door beginning early next week, they're not going to be strong enough to really impact us at all. As a matter of fact, I'll show you this. There's an opportunity that these fronts wash out before they get here and our winds strengthen out of the south, and that's why we tick up a couple of more degrees, all right? So the overall pattern continues to be one of a warm, dry one. When we take a look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. So again, let's be clear. This is from day 6 to day 10. So this is the extended range. You can see what I'm saying. The coldest air locks up to the north. There is going to be a bit of a push down the plains. You always get that right because obviously this is very flat land. And so that, that colder air can seep down into the southern plains. But you notice that it all skirts through the Great Lakes, even into portions of the Appalachians, the mid-Atlantic states, Tennessee Valley, and all of the southeast. Our forecast is to be warmer than not. And the higher on this legend you go into the oranges and the reds, the higher chance you have to see temperatures above normal. It's not saying that this is going to be the hottest weather, although sometimes that's how it goes in accordance. It just says by percentage chance, which areas will be cooler or warmer than what they typically would be in the 60-day time frame. Your gray area is basically an average chance of both warm and cold, and then the blues are your colder than average, and your yellows, oranges, and red are warmer than average. When we look at the precip with this, I still find it very interesting that the Climate Prediction Center is trying to make us basically average rain or a little bit wetter. Now look, we don't get a lot of rain in February. It's one of the driest months, right? But up until Thursday of next week, I don't have a drop of rain in the forecast. All right. So once again, it's going to have to be one of those things where we get the rain coming in at the end of this 10-day time frame, right? I mentioned that in Monday's video as well, but I don't see a lot on the map. Now, if you're going north, it's going to be warmer in places like Atlanta and Nashville on over towards Charlotte, North Carolina, but it's going to also be on the wetter side as well because those fronts will work their way into those areas. All right. So now let's kind of break down. I've got so many different things I can show you guys. I've really spent a lot of time here going through the process. These are current winds right now. As I mentioned, you're not going to see anything there of any consequence. Any severe weather watches, everything is quiet here. Storm Prediction Center risk for storms today. So when we get into an active pattern, I'm going to be able to just snap, flip through all of this stuff. So really looking forward to being able to show you that. Now, you guys know me well enough. I enjoy quiet weather. I enjoy active weather. It is what it is. I don't hope for anything. I don't wish cast. You guys know that. The situation is a situation, but when it comes time, we'll have an ability here to really show you guys some stuff in real time. So looking forward to that. So let's get into some of the model forecasting here. So I'm going to start off with the HRRR and bring that up. And of course, we don't need to see the snow because that's not coming our way. So this is the short term over the weekend. And I'll bring back up the time frame and you can see that in the top of your screen. Of course, today is the 7th. That means Saturday is the 8th, Sunday is the 9th. We do have another front that's going to be trying to work its way through. Now, it's a fast-moving system. All of the rain, all the energy stays up to our north, all right? Weak developing storm, maybe an area of low pressure trying to kind of spin in Arklatex right now, but it just doesn't have enough energy to get all the way down into Central Florida. It's as simple as that. Now, this is a little bit unusual. Look, this is still the time of the year that these fronts generally push right on through. We pick up a north wind. We get that rain chance that we get every so often. Again, we don't have the wet season. We don't have the sea breeze storms. We're really relying on cold fronts to bring us any chance for rain. That's why we're going to be drying out here because, again, these fronts, at least in the short term, do not make it. So there is no rain. So, again, we don't need to water our lawns very often. Make sure that you follow the water restrictions in effect for your city or your county. But you might want to hit the sprinklers 1 or 2 times during the week if you want to keep up with things. And certainly make sure that the plants are watered appropriately as well. Gardens, you guys know the deal. Because we're not going to get any rain from Mother Nature, at least in the short term. So there you can see that situation here. And again, through the plains. Now, I don't have this as the precip type, which would show snow, but you can clearly see the moisture slipping through. And that's just kind of the first of what's going to be several potentially high impact storms for the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, and New England. Let's broaden this out. I'm going to show you the GFS model. And by broadening it out, what I mean by that is in time. So I'm going to go to the GFS model. I'm going to take this all the way out to next Friday, which is the 14th, which, by the way, Valentine's Day, for my guys out there, remember the wives, next Friday. We have a whole week to get through it. And we'll look at the winds as well. But the biggest situation here, again, continues to be the fact that these cold fronts just don't really have the ability to get this far south, at least with a push of northerly winds, right? I think if we're, again, going to get an opportunity for showers, the first blush look at that is going to be next Thursday. And the models aren't extremely robust at even doing that. We might try and spin up an area of low pressure in the northwest Gulf of Mexico, and that could drag some of that energy a little bit farther off to the south. But it is, 6-7 days out. So it is the potential, but that all it is the potential right now. So when we look at the GFS over the weekend, it has the same scenario as the HRRR, nothing coming here. As we get into midweek, here comes that next storm system. But again, most of the energy is north of us. So this is early next Wednesday, and then it's the next one Thursday and into Friday that could spell a few showers. And man, oh man, I mean a few showers. Right now, I would put the Thursday chance of next week at 20%, and then we'll just have to see if there's anything left over on Valentine's Day Friday, but that's about it. Again, friends, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop into the comments section below. While you're here, thank you for liking the live stream. Thank you for subscribing to CFLW. I know it is a quiet weather pattern, but I still need your support, right? And the easiest way to do that if you're watching is just click that like button for me right now, the thumbs up. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you'd like to share this channel with your family and friends, please do so as well. All right. So again, the next chance for rain, I expect to be next Thursday or Friday, and temperatures might actually warm a little bit more. So the question is, well, how would they warm a little bit more? Let me go out to the broad view here first and then zoom back in. We're back to, again, the GFS model, and I'm going to loop this up. Hopefully it will follow my time frame. But what you'll notice is here is that winds are going to be relatively light and variable, right? But a general look at the winds next week, there's going to be a bit of a south component. And even as these fronts try and move a little bit closer, the winds are going to mainly stay out of the south. And if these fronts kind of wash out just north of us, we could actually strengthen that south wind a little bit as well. So the bottom line is that the indications are, there's an opportunity here where the winds stay out of the south and it just stays even warmer. And the other thing too is that we're going to be not having the fog issues as well. We'll have a little bit more of a south wind overnight. We'll mix up the lower levels of the atmosphere a little bit more. The sun won't have to use its energy to burn off the clouds and the low clouds and the fog to begin with. And so that sets us up for some warmer afternoons as well. So again, this is the GFS model with the winds. Hopefully they'll fully pop on. Most of the time I do have to let this model go all the way out, and this is a full 7 days. So you notice that it's spinning in the top left corner. Once it picks up the last frame of animation, I think we typically then get the full frame. There we go. Okay. So now I can pause it and we can look at the time frames. And here you go. Hi, Fiona. How you doing? For the most part, I agree with you, Fiona. I think portions of the Southern Plains are enjoying it as well. But as far as warm and dry, yeah, Central Florida for sure, right? Temperatures a little bit closer to average in the Southern Plains. They're enjoying nice weather. Look, out west, hammer time with some big time snow, feet of snow, 50 to 70 mile an hour winds. It has been exceptional weather. Now, of course, guys, I'm doing the United States weather on Weather Express, and I'll talk about that coming up in a second as well. So I am a little bit more in tune with what's going across the U.S. But to show you guys that starting again, early next week, and then right on through at least Thursday afternoon, it's a due south wind. It's not strong. It's 5 to 10 miles an hour, maybe a little bit fresher along the coast. But again, it clears out the fog. It sets us up for warmer weather to continue to just build on itself, right? That's what we typically see. Then that little change up in the wind into Friday. And finally by Friday, and of course I'll have a lot more about this coming up on next Monday's show, now we pick up our first north wind in what's been probably at least 10 days, right? And then that's the chance to get a little bit more of some cooler weather coming in. And we'll look at that coming up. So let's get into your forecast here, guys. What do you say we do that? Let me go back over to my trust the other computer, and let's break it down. So let's start off in Orlando. My friends here, this includes the attractions, Lake Buena Vista. Now look, if I've put the fog symbol on the map for you for a particular day, it means that really is the biggest weather issue. And I'll show you what I mean coming up. So basically the areas that I expect to be locally dense fog tomorrow morning will have just that icon for tomorrow. Of course, once the fog burns off, we should get a lot of sunshine after that, all right? So for Orlando tomorrow, locally dense fog. It's not out of the question that we get more dense fog advisories. Again, it's gonna be area dependent. I do expect that along portions of the East Coast, including Volusia and Flagler counties, maybe up to Jacksonville, including St. Augustine, because of that marine layer. But there will be pockets of thick fog tomorrow morning, and I'll show you some of those model visibilities coming up as well. Then it's sunny, so 61 the morning low, then 83 the daytime high. Again, daytime highs in Central Florida for early February are low to mid 70s. So we're 8 to 10 degrees above average for Saturday. I don't expect there to be as much fog in most areas Sunday morning, right? Still could be some restrictions of visibility in the Metro Orlando area on Sunday, but not much. In the same situation for Monday, where the fog should not be as much of an issue when you get back to work and school. But look at these temperatures, 83 Sunday afternoon, back up to 84 degrees on our Monday. Wrong one. Okay, for Tampa, you notice that I've got the sun fog icon on the same day. That means that it's more patchy fog than anything, more nuisance fog. Now look, still, if you're an early morning commuter for some reason, Saturday and Sunday mornings, even a Monday morning, there will still be some restrictions to visibility. So patchy fog is in the forecast in the Tampa area, including Brandon and St. Pete and Bradenton and Sarasota, Town and Country, Ruskin, on over towards Hudson, places like that, Spring Hill, all those included, patchy fog. Should be a beautiful weekend. 82 tomorrow, 81 on Sunday, and then it gets even warmer on Monday. And that's the trend. That's where the really trend begins to warm up, 84 on Monday. I don't expect there to be much of a temperature climb over the weekend, but it will get warmer starting Monday. Now look, Sarasota will be noticing fog. And I apologize. I thought maybe there was a chance. I left some precip chances in here. Obviously, these should be 0. So sorry about that. But the sunshine will obviously come after the fog burns off, but patchy fog will be a situation. Now, because Sarasota is more influenced by the water, and I do expect them to have a west wind, they are going to be tapping into the relatively cooler coastal waters of the Gulf, which will keep their daytime highs cooler. And it will be a big difference between inland locations in Manatee and Sarasota counties and along the immediate coast. Saturday, 75. Sunday, a high of just 74. Those are temperatures what we should expect. They do get up to 77 on Monday, and again, strike it through. Fiona wants to know why fog in the morning. Fiona, if you don't mind, I'll table that for just 1 second. We'll look at the visibilities and we'll talk about that. But it's an excellent question because it's very environmental in the time of the year, and we'll get into it. In Crystal River, dense fog tomorrow morning again. Along portions of that eastern coast, visibility could be less than a mile in a couple of spots. There could be more dense fog advisories. Again, the Weather Service offices don't normally issue those until later in the day, but keep an eye out for that. 77, the daytime high wants to be burning off. Now, morning lows in Citrus County should be into the 50s. That's a nice, cool start. I mean, that's a light jacket or windbreaker start to the day. Maybe you're planning an early morning round of golf there at the Plantation Inn. Black Diamond, maybe up in the Villages, you've got some golf planned. I would recommend a light jacket or a windbreaker early. You won't need it, though, much of the day. 77 both Saturday and Sunday in Crystal River, and then it's even warmer again on Monday as we're back up to 80 degrees. In Daytona Beach, I expect there to be some gorgeous weather there. Fog to begin the day. And again, that marine layer could be very thick. So the thick sea fog will be an issue at least for tomorrow, right? Then the fog gets a little bit more patchy. Still could be locally dense in the morning hours, right? But the afternoon should be a little bit clearer. Temperatures should be in accordance, again, influence of a little bit more of the coastal areas, the relatively cooler ocean conditions. So 57 the morning low, 76 the daytime high, 77 Sunday, 76 on Monday. Not a huge climb in Daytona Beach the next 3 days. Places like Ormond Beach, Wilbur by the Sea, New Smyrna, Bunnell, on over towards Flagler Beach and Palm Coast, all with about the same scenario, right? Where the thick fog could be an issue, especially in the morning hours tomorrow, more patchy Sunday, Monday, and temperatures that will mainly remain in the 70s, okay? All right, so that was that last graphic. Fiona asked about the fog. So let's get back over here. me go back over to here. And let's talk about this. So there's a couple of environmental factors that we're going to end up seeing the fog, right? The first is that we have very settled air, okay? We have, and let me just, as we're doing this here, let me bring up, I want to make sure that I've got this kind of ready to roll. Give me just 1 second here. There we go, surface visibility. I'll make a preset for this coming up as well. And then let's go to 9 a.m. tomorrow. So let's talk about why fog forms. I mean, fog is a cloud at ground level. It's as simple as that. We typically get it this time of the year for a couple of reasons, and we see it sometimes in the fall as well. First of all, we have more dark hours, right? The sun, you know, we don't have as much sunlight this time of the year. We just went into the winter solstice. We're beginning to gain some daylight. That's good. The sun is also at a very low angle, all right? So sometimes when we get these thick clouds and low-level clouds to form, the sun at the lower angle really has a tough time burning off some of those low clouds to begin with. The higher it gets up in the sky, the better angle it has to burn those off. We also sometimes this time of the year, especially when things are quiet in the air, still get what we call an inversion layer, right? Typically speaking, okay, the warmest level of the atmosphere is at the ground, and the higher up you go in the sky through the atmosphere, it cools and cools and cools and cools. Sometimes you get a low level inversion layer, and what that means is that there is a warm layer of air trapped above a colder layer, right? And that basically is like a cap, and you can't take that moisture that develops overnight, right? Everything gets kind of thick and dewy, and that can't get burned off and evaporated into the atmosphere. It gets stuck at the low levels, and that allows the fog to form as well, okay? So the inversion layer, the longer evening hours, nighttime hours, and the low sun angle all kind of come into play, right? Now you still have to have relatively calm conditions at the surface. If we still have some breeze, you're going to mix up the lower levels of the atmosphere enough where you're not going to have any real issues. So when we take a look at the HRRR model here, this is this evening, and we look at some of these values, you can already start to see that it's beginning to close in a little bit of fog. Now again, it really is robust and the fog developing here along the west coast. So just keep that in mind for Levy and Citrus and Hernando and Pasco and Pinellas counties, okay? As we get into tomorrow morning, look at some of that fog kind of move in. Now the interesting thing is this is 7 a.m. and you notice again that the model, it's very patchy, but it is locally dense, right? I mean, it has some areas, anywhere that you see clear here on this map, there's no fog. But other areas, and we mentioned, and you know, Lake County West has been mentioned a lot from the Weather Service offices, and what I've seen as well, where places like Claremont and Leesburg and Astatoula all have had some relatively thick fog into the Bushnell area and Lake Pan and the villages of Sumter County. But you can clearly see that, right? There's a little bit of fog expected in eastern Orange County through Brevard County and Osceola County, but not nearly as much. And again, I think it's area dependent, but I am concerned along the immediate coast, and you can clearly see that along the immediate coast in some spots, not everywhere, right? A1A, US 1, portions of Brevard into Flagler, up the beach as well, where we could have that marine layer, that sea fog, be very dense. You get inland from there, and you don't have much. Jacksonville Beach, Palm Valley, St. Augustine, all with that same kind of opportunity, right? I think it gets better starting Sunday morning, but we could still certainly have some thick fog tomorrow morning with that inversion layer. You're welcome, Fiona. With that inversion layer, with the air being very settled at the low levels of the atmosphere. Sometimes we get in this pattern where it is days and days and days of this, right? So again, this is a model, but it's been pretty darn good. Now, if I take it out to Sunday morning, let's see here. Should take just a second to load back on. Just kind of curious to see if we contrast tomorrow morning with Sunday morning real fast as well. All right. Boy, really cooperates. So this is Sunday morning. And again, still from Orlando, north and west, it is still bringing on some locally dense fog. I don't think we're done with it for sure Sunday. I'm hoping it's not as widespread. I'm hoping in some areas it's not as thick. Again, we're still favoring southeast areas for better visibility. Even inland locations in I-4 and Polk County and Hillsborough County could be thick fog as well. Again, this is just a model, but it shows you the opportunity here for more thick fog, basically along I-4 and to the north. That's going to be the big issue for the next couple of days. Again, back out to the big view. If you're just tuning in, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for liking this. Thank you for being a part of the CFLW community. It's going to bring back on the VizSat here real quick as well. Just kind of taking a look at, even since we've been on, right? Skies are trying to clear a little bit. You noticed, now first of all in this Viz satellite imagery, the brighter whites are your thicker, denser clouds. Notice that those are beginning to kind of go away here in Marion County, portions of Alachua and Putnam and Northern Lake and inland Volusia and Flagler. Skies are clearing here. Temperatures will warm up in accordance. Now, there won't be as much stopping the sun from coming in. Guys, if you hadn't heard, because maybe you don't follow my Facebook page, I am doing a new YouTube channel, okay? It is called Weather Express. A lot of folks have asked me and said, Rusty, are you going to do United States forecasting? Because we have Media Mundo, the Caribbean and the Bahamas channel, this CFLW channel, which is for Central Florida and Central Florida only. I mean, obviously when hurricanes come, we'll cover a little bit broader area, but you get the idea. It's for you guys in Central Florida. Well, the Weather Express YouTube channel is designed for all of the United States. Now, it's a 5-minute video, okay? So we go long form here, we go long form on Media Mundo, but I limit myself to 5 minutes. But you can cram a lot in if you do it right, and that's what I'm trying to do. So I would appreciate your guys' support for the new channel. It's called Weather Express. There is a link to the channel in this video description. If you go down, right, and if you look at this, and I'm gonna look at it for you guys right now, if you look at the bottom, you're going to see the links, and you'll see the play button for Media Mundo, you'll see the play button for Weather Express, you'll see the Facebook, the Instagram. If you just click on that Weather Express button, it will take you to the page where you can subscribe to the channel. And again, if you have anyone who you think would enjoy a forecast out of the United States, we hit all the big stuff there, let them know about the channel. Again, I appreciate all the support here on Media Mundo and for the new endeavor, Weather Express. Really excited to bring you that as well. And, you know, I've been doing it now for a little bit less than 2 weeks, but we've already had some positive feedback, and I hope that continues. And again, I appreciate y'all's support, and obviously the support here for Central Florida Weather Live. Again, I know it's a little bit of a quiet weather pattern, but, you know, I appreciate you guys tuning in to support me, to support the channel as we continue to grow here. And obviously, you know, the thing and the reason why I do these live shows is that we can keep in constant contact, whether the weather is quiet, whether the weather is active or not. So we do these these shows for you guys every Monday and Friday at 1 p.m. I'm here on live, and of course, anytime there is active weather in Central Florida, I will be on live covering that morning, noon, and night. All right, and again, this is a live only channel, so have those notifications on, because when I'm live, you know there's something going on. I do want to thank again our sponsor of Central Florida Weather Live, our exclusive sponsor, is the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They are your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They do cover the entire state, so it's not just Central Florida. Homeowners, associations, condo owners across the entire state, anything that can impact you or your property, they can help you with. They'll walk you through the insurance claim process. They do offer free consultation and policy reviews. If that situation occurs in your life, you can reach out to leanonmelaw.com for more information. Bobby and the team, they're great folks over there. They'll help you out. We appreciate them being sponsors here of CFLW. Friends, I think that's going to do it for this Friday. Again, let me know what your Super Bowl prediction is. I've got the Chiefs, even though I'm not a big fan of the Chiefs, but my son is a huge fan. Enjoy the Super Bowl. If you have weekend outdoor plans, boy, the weather is going to cooperate. When I see you back here Monday, we will be talking about a warm-up continuing. Yes, it's going to get even warmer, but then we'll look ahead to that next actual front that's going to work its way in late next week, the opportunity for rain and some of the cooler weather that it could bring. Appreciate you guys. You have a great rest of your Friday and into the weekend, and I will see you back here Monday for the latest edition of Central Florida Weather Live, the show. Until then, you all take care, and I will see you then.